And we are here at Bow and Arrow Lodge. This is located on Central and Route 66 between Wyoming and Pennsylvania. And along this stretch, this actually the broader stretch, this is now the third hotel that we have done a full one Albuquerque public safety operation on. That has included our planning department, animal welfare, of course, our police department and our fire marshal, and our ACS department to help folks. And this resulted in similar results as our past crackdowns. And this is part of a broader program that we are going to make sure that we are doing everything we can to stop some of these nests of crime throughout our city, but we're starting along Central. And this was no exception by any stretch. Whether it was Loma Verde, Tewa, or Bow and Arrow, what we've seen in every situation is massive code violations, inhospitable living, egregious situations with respect to things like sewage and electricity, and also warrants, felony warrants, guns, drugs. This case, even stolen goods from Bernalillo County that we recovered, a whole range of issues that we're going to walk through. And for us too, the owners, we always get questions about the owners. You know, they can speak and represent for themselves, but it's our understanding that, you know, this was just being run by a manager who just wasn't able to do anything for whatever reason. And again, we want to acknowledge that sometimes these hotels get so dangerous that the management can't even control them. They can't even evict anyone or do anything. We're not saying that's the case here, but in general, that's one issue. We also know in general, sometimes people who work at the hotel are involved in some of these activities. And so the specifics on this one will wait for official sort of the criminal justice system and so forth. But we just want folks to know that we are going to hold you accountable. Whether you're an owner, or whether you're a manager, or whether you're living here illegally, this city is going to make sure that we crack down on these hotbeds of criminal activity, especially on Central. Now, in general, this had 101 calls for service from APD, everything from 2 shootings to 29 ShotSpotter calls, 4 recovered stolen vehicles, 2 armed robberies. Now, we also, as I mentioned, found a whole range of stolen goods. We also found a host of electrical and plumbing violations. And on top of that, we also were able to actually help a lot of people. There were 21 individuals here that were staying here that we offered support and services to. And some of them we actually helped with the domestic violence situation, and a couple we were able to help find shelter because they had nowhere else to go. Now, I think I'll just wrap up because we're going to hear from the experts on this. But these kinds of things that we're seeing, remember, you can't live in a hotel. There are all sorts of reasons for this, based on public safety, whether it is the fact that you're required to have a stove and different things to make your actually living situation humane, and then there's all the other issues around, whether it's prostitution, drug dealing. These are the kinds of things we're seeing, but we are cracking down, and this is the third hotel, and we're going to keep going. So we're going to say the same thing we said last time, which is if you are a hotel owner or operator and you are out of control of your hotel, you cannot at least verify that everyone is following all of the code rules and all of the minimums or maximum stay rules, and that there is not criminal activity going on, we are going to come in and close your hotel. And so with more details on this, our Chief of Police, Harold Medina.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being out here. Like Mayor stated, he talked about just the wide variety of different crimes that occurred. And yesterday alone, when we got out here, it was once again a unique situation. We had guns we recovered. We had drugs we recovered, convicted felons with guns. We even had a room that was set up for adult entertainment with cameras, lights, and a pole. And it was one of those unique situations where a lot of the people who work this operation aren't going to forget, but it's those types of activities that lend to criminal activity occurring here. It attracts a lot of the wrong crowds. It's not utilizing the hotel for what it was built for, and we've seen it. This is the third place that we closed down because, like Mayor said, it becomes a nest of criminal activity. A lot of times they struggle to keep law and order themselves, management in these locations, and we're not going to stop. This was our commitment to work to clean up a lot of these locations along Central. I can tell you we have 2 more in the pipe. we'll be working on those. We have undercover operations already occurring, and we're hoping to be standing in front of another couple locations within next couple of months, just to continue moving forward on holding these locations accountable for the crime that they bring to neighborhoods, because it's not just the crime that occurs here, it's the individuals that come in and out and everything they do along the way as they're coming in and out of these locations. Like Mayor said, I'm grateful to ACS for being able to get some of the individuals that did need resources and help to the help that they need, and we will continue to work hard in ensuring that we do everything we can to hit crime from every single angle, and this angle has been successful for us. So thanks to code enforcement and everybody else who's out here helping make the city safer, and it's not just a law enforcement effort.
Thanks, Chief. All right, we also want to mention we do have them available for Q&A, but we found several dogs here, including a adorable husky pup, and animal welfare was out here with our animal protection officers and appropriately handling those four-legged friends for us as well. But sort of leading these efforts is our code department, and really appreciate all their hard work on this. And so let's bring up the director, Alan Brella.
Hello, thank you for being here. This administration is fighting back, and we're fighting for Albuquerque, and this is another win that we can put on the books, and it's just one of the many to come. This property was in horrible condition: cockroach infestations, fire hazards, electrical hazards, plumbing hazards, inadequate hot water. Any property owner out there who's running one of these needs to know that that is not acceptable, and we are going to come in and try to work with you, of course, because we want you to be a good neighbor. But if you're not, if you're incapable, we're going to shut you down. That is what we're going to do. That is our promise to the town, and we're going to keep that promise. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. And a little bit too on the folks we were able to help with some relocation, our ACS director, Jody Escobar.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody Escobar. I'm the director of Albuquerque Community Safety. I think one moment to just pause and understand that there's so many layers to these situations, and I'm proud and thankful that we have the space to come and provide resources for those that need it. And so not everybody needs to be displaced or are criminals, and so we're thankful to have that space here with the city and the mission of a One Albuquerque approach in that layered approach. There are 21 individuals that Albuquerque Community Safety encountered. More than half of them had places to go, but we ensured that they were safe and secure and felt comfortable going to those locations. The other folks that we were able to help and get into immediate shelter or connect them with family members and kind of move them into a safer space. 5 of those are going to take us up on services to continue to help them to sustain long-term living. We understand that sometimes you just get caught in these cycles and you're paying extreme amounts of money for a nightly rental, a hotel room, and you have a family or whatever that looks like. We want to make sure that we're stabilizing our community, and with that we'll continue to walk with folks through this process. And with that comes folks that really need help. You know, we're able to uncover folks that through really good motivational interviewing and sitting and talking with people, understanding that there might be a domestic violence situation that's going on, and we're thankful to be able to take people out of those situations and offer support in that way. And so thank you for the team for allowing us this space to do such things for our community.
Okay, and then we also, of course, our fire department is involved in this, especially through the fire code and our fire marshal. So let's bring up Marshal Garcia.
Good morning. Thank you for coming out. As I said, this business here, I just want to thank everybody, all the agencies that were helping, all the departments, code enforcement, APD, animal welfare, the mayor's office for supporting our efforts. There were multiple fire code violations found yesterday in our inspection. This is a sad thing to see, because this business was put into the ADAPT program in 2022. They graduated in September of 2023. And so these owners know what they need to do. At the time of graduation, they were at a 93% decrease in criminal activity. So there's no excuse for this to be what it is right now. They knew what they needed to do. They followed the rules that needed to be followed. We assisted the owners and the management to do the right thing and to bring criminal activity down. And here we are. So this is what happens when you don't follow through once you graduate our program. Thankfully, APD and code enforcement has been watching this place, and we were able to come and do what we need to do after all this time that they did not fix the issues. It's easy to go back into criminal activity. It's easy to fall back into that. So we just hope that businesses that we work with a lot of businesses right now, and we have a lot of success stories. We just hope that they'll continue to do everything that we've worked with them and educated them on to bring the crime down in this city. We're here to protect all the citizens of Albuquerque. We're here to protect the business owners and all the people who visit the city of Albuquerque. So we just thank you guys for coming out here and supporting us.
Okay, thanks so much, Marshall. And I think just we'll send out the specifics, of course, but there were 4 felony warrants and a quantity of fentanyl and some firearms that were recovered. And I also just want to mention too that you know, in these particular situations, it's also, you know, we know that this can be dangerous, unfortunately. And so that's also why we want owners to call us in advance, right? So I just want to remind folks, not only are we going to hold you accountable, as we've said, but we really want, call us. It's much better if you just say, I'm having problems at my hotel, I need help. Okay, so I think we'll do questions for, oh, and we're going to send a bunch of pictures out, including of the dogs and the stolen goods. And so forth. So we have, you know, everything's boarded up right now, but we have a lot of good pictures.
You know, if I could just add one thing, I just want to thank all of our non-law enforcement members of the city that are out here working. You know, we talk about why APD is out here and how we're here to keep everybody safe that doesn't get to carry a badge and a gun and a vest. Yesterday, one of the individuals they encountered, they even asked him if the individual was armed. He stated he wasn't, but they could see that there was a holster and ammunition, and as officers came in to assist them, they quickly found that the individual was a convicted felon that had concealed a firearm upon himself. And that just goes to show the importance of why we have to make sure that even though these are administrative investigations, that these places deteriorate to the point where law enforcement needs to be here to assist and make sure that they keep all of our civilians and professional staff in the city safe.
All right, we have time for a few questions.
For APD, obviously the first time you guys did motel sweeping was Tewa Lodge, and there was a fatal shooting that happened. Can you kind of walk us through some of the procedural changes that have prevented that from happening again?
You know, that incident, you know, and I've talked about it several times, that incident, there were things that could have been done better by the officers. I know they do conduct more full briefings, but they communicate more openly. But that incident was the result of officers making a mistake. And I will continue to say that there's a difference between officers who commit misconduct, take money to dismiss cases, and an officer who's out here every day risking their lives and make a simple error in the procedures that they're following. So let's keep that in perspective, that officers make mistakes, they're human beings, and there didn't have to be a lot of changes from that operation to these operations because the problems in that operation really resulted from a mistake.
You guys have mentioned you guys had 101 calls to service to this location. What's the time frame on that?
That was last calendar year, so January of 24 to January of this year.
Was there any coordination between code enforcement and hotel management before this operation?
There was extensive coordination with hotel management. We contacted the hotel several times, obviously, since they graduated from the ADAPT program, letting them know that they were having issues. We contacted them again last week and said, listen, we have the authority to go in. We do want to post notices with your consent on each of the doors And so we did that the day before the operation with the owner's consent. The owner also provided a master key for us just in case some of the rooms were locked, and they knew that they saw the writing on the wall that we were coming in and we needed to inspect, and we had the right to do so.
The council recently passed O60, which requires businesses to register with the city. Is that helping code enforcement come in when businesses aren't in compliance and things like that?
What council passed was a bill that is going to shift our business registration system, which has been in place for decades, to a business licensing system, and that becomes effective July 1 of this coming year. And we're certainly hoping that that provides a strong tool for us, not only to get businesses on the right track, but to get them out of business when they're not on the right track later on.
Were all the rooms occupied when you guys came in?
Most of the rooms were occupied. There were a few empty rooms.
I got a question for ACS. Were the people who were relocated sent, the ones that did take help, did they get sent to a city shelter, motels, not specifics, but where are they at?
They're depending on their needs is what we met. Some of them were placed in a hotel. Those folks are the ones that are wanting to kind of stabilize their housing situation so that we can walk through that process a little bit more.
Are they using motel vouchers or hotel vouchers?
I'd have to get the specifics.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people did you guys interact with yesterday? Total?
Albuquerque Community Safety interacted with 21 individuals.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
Just one more for APD. You mentioned there's 2 other operations in the pipeline. Are those both motels on Central as well?
I'm not going to tell you, then it's not a very good undercover operation.
Fair enough.
It's not very undercover if we publicize it.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
I guess overall reaction, just since you guys have been working with this hotel to make it a better place and being here again, what does this say? Is it a failed kind of point for management? Is it failed for the city? Or kind of where do you guys see this, I guess, downfall?
Well, the ADAPT program did the right thing. It contacted a hotel that was in trouble. It explained to them what they needed to do. They cleaned up their act momentarily. In retrospect, we have to wonder whether they were sincere about that. It appears that they weren't, that perhaps they were just going along with what they needed to do in order to have the city hopefully look away permanently, which we're not going to do. We're looking right back, and we're coming back in even stronger if we have to.
Do you know if they're working on, I guess, making this place up to code again?
I have no idea, but the proof will be in what they actually do, not in what they say. They no longer have credibility as far as I'm concerned.
Is there a time frame for them to fix this place up, or is it closed down for good?
Well, it's a privately owned property, so we don't determine whether it's closed down for good, because if hopefully a new owner were to come in and turn it into a legitimate operation here on Route 66, I think that something beautiful could happen with this property, as well as, for example, the Tiwa Lodge and the other one that we had to shut over the last couple of months. There's all the potential in the world for honest, hard-working business people to have a thriving operation. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll be sending out a press release and photos afterwards.